girls basketball team will join us in studio. Brody Heidemann has brokered his first deal. Has made it happen. He's made a connection.
He did it.
Boom.
He did it.
Only took him 6 months. We will talk to the Griffin girls basketball team at 6:30. Lucas Gabriel will be in studio with us at 7 o'clock. He's not bringing Raphael Allen with him tonight. Why? Ask me why, John Schreider.
Why is he not bringing Raphael Allen, Jimmy?
Because the entire men's basketball team, minus their head coach, are currently on their way up. Well, they're probably already there by now to watch Trish Sedlick and the Bellevue Bruins play for a national title tonight in NAIA action. We'll try to keep you up to date on that as that game will tip off at 7 o'clock. We will give you our Papillion Sanitation trash takes of the night. I like mine tonight, and I think you're all going to be pleasantly surprised.
Are there nights when you don't like your trash take?
There's times where I get to that where we kind of cover what I was planning on saying just by ipso facto during the show. So I doubt we'll get to mine tonight before we get there. And then Brody Heidemann and I get to cry about Juan Soto becoming a Met.
Don't. Well, actually, we have good news tonight.
We do. We got ourselves a left-hander.
Yeah.
We'll get to all that more. You can join us at 402-951-1620 to weigh in on anything we're talking about tonight. You can also follow the show at After Hours 1620 on Twitter as well. John Butler is being named the defensive coach at Nebraska, and he's only been a D coordinator one other time in his entire life, and that was 2013 at Penn State. That defense was ranked 60th in the country. That's not horrible. That's not great. It's very mid, but it was only one season. Now, you're replacing a guy in Tony White who comes in here, or is leaving here to go to Florida State as a guy that had back-to-back top 25 defenses, one top 5 in the country, one top 15. This is a downgrade, and there's no other way you can paint that picture, right?
It's not an upgrade, and it's not a lateral move. It has the chance to grow into something good. I'm not totally pessimistic about it.
Okay.
He's a former NFL defensive coordinator. He obviously knows what he's doing, and he's a guy who, by all accounts, is very intense, is very with it, very on it. Like, he's not afraid to get in people's faces, which is like what you need as a defensive coordinator sometimes. So as it currently stands, yes, this is a downgrade. Does that mean it's a bad move? Does it mean Nebraska's defense is toast? No, not at all. You have to wait and see what happens. Like, you can make all the prognostications and guesses and, the defensive backs were terrible. Fine. I'm not saying I even disagree with that. What I'm saying is, you don't know what the defense is going to look like. Do you know that they're still going to run the 3-3-5? Do you know that? You don't.
Matt Rule said he wants to.
He said he wants to. Doesn't mean they will.
I will say this, though. For anybody in the camp here, Brody, anybody in the camp of we can't hire him, or we should have hired him because of the performance of the defensive backs. I don't know how many coaches across the world could have walked into that situation on that short of notice, taken over for a guy who was as successful as Evan Cooper was and had the personality that Evan Cooper did, and walk in and say, day one, we're successful. I don't know how many guys that could have got to the end of the season and said we're having a giant monicum of success. Just because of the way college football works now and the short amount of time that he walked in there, I don't hang too much of my hat on my expectations on John Butler, the defensive coordinator, on what we saw from John Butler, the defensive back coach this season. Is that fair?
It's absolutely fair, and you shouldn't, because coaching a position is very different from coordinating a defense.
Good point.
They're different skill sets. They're different ideas. You know, you're not trying to, as a position coach, decide what the overall shape and style and, you know, when to blitz. What do we do on this down and distance? Like, you're not worried about any of that stuff as a position coach. You're just trying to get your guys trained the best they can to fit within the system that's been designed by your boss, who's the DC. So it's a totally different skill set. And there are guys who are much better position coaches than they are coordinators, and there are guys who are much better coordinators than they are position coaches.
One of those guys got a head coach at UCF this week. We'll get to that later in the show, too. I will say this, though. One thing Nebraska noticeably did not note as a hire today was the defensive back coach. I think John Butler still runs the defensive back room next season.
Probably, yeah. With the addition of Phil Snow as the associate head coach and not assigned a specific position, I imagine that John Butler keeps control of the defensive backs, and Phil Snow is sort of your floater coach who helps like oversee the overall operation of the defense on practice and game day.
One we were talking about this with a friend of the show, Mike Neville, beforehand, but the hire that I'm the most intrigued by is Terry Braden, the new defensive line coach for Nebraska. 8 years of the defensive line as an associate defensive line coach in Kansas City, so the NFL's equivalent of an analyst. Obviously, he spent a lot of time around guys like Christian Jones. Won 3 Super Bowls, 8 years under an Andy Reid tenure. This is a guy coming in with a ton of experience at the highest level and could give you the Terrence Knighton effect. And not from he's going to give you the jump that you saw out of a Nash or Upmacher or Ty Robinson, or even develop a Prince Will or a Cam Lenhart. But I'm a guy from the NFL. I know what these coaches want. I know how to get you there, and I can make some connections for you in the long run. And I really think you're going to see more of these type of hires in college going forward because it's an automatic foot in the door for a lot of guys.
I like it because he's young.
That too.
He has NFL experience, and I just think that having worked with guys like George Karlaftis and Chris Jones,
good football players,
putting that out there is going to make him a good recruiter. I think he's going to have the ability to tell young defensive linemen coming out of high school, like, look, I've coached 2 of the best in the league.
2 of the best.
I know what it looks like. I know how they train, and I can get you there. Yeah, and that's going to be a huge benefit in recruiting.
He's also a Florida guy, too. He coached high school football in Florida. He went to Bethune. He was a GA at Bethune-Cookman, and he also did his first GA stint at the D1 level at FAU.
Do you think it's weird that he played quarterback in college?
I was just about to say, but the weird – I don't, and I'm glad you asked that question because a lot of the times – I remember I had a conversation with Sean Watson one time when I was still thinking about trying to get into the coaching realm. And he was like, listen, I started off coaching safeties. And he talked about the importance of coaching on the other side of the ball from either where you played or where you want to coach to understand the nuances and the development of that side of the ball. Now, make your Sean Watson jokes here if you want to, but whatever. No, I think it's incredibly important because he knows the tendencies of quarterbacks. He knows what quarterbacks are comfortable doing. He knows what quarterbacks are uncomfortable doing. And he knows how to get them into those positions. So, no, I don't think it's that weird that he was a quarterback.
I don't know. To me, it seems like if you had to choose the opposite position of quarterback, what is the furthest position away from quarterback on a football field? But what would you choose? I would choose defensive line.
Probably edge rusher, but yeah, same thing. But if you look at Terry,
the inverse of quarterback is nose tackle.
Yeah, if you look at Terry Braden though, he looks more like a nose tackle than he does a quarterback though.
I don't know. It's one because he was a quarterback. I can rationalize it a little bit, but I can rationalize most anything given enough time because he understands the protections that quarterbacks have to go through.
Yeah, it's the keep your enemies closer or your friends closer, your enemies closer type thing, right?
No, I'm not saying it's bad because he's a quarterback. I just think it's funny.
Very weird. Yeah, very weird.
A quarterback has become a top-level defensive line coach. It's funny to me. I'm laughing about it.
I'm starting to be a little hesitant. One thing that has concerns me is Matt Rule is getting paid a lot of money a year to be the head coach at Nebraska. He has now brought in a former head coach as an offensive coordinator, and he's now brought in a Phil Snow type guy to be essentially the overall head coach of the defense / along with John Butler. Now, when we look at Nick Saban and we talk about the rehab facility that was Tuscaloosa, Alabama for the better part of 2 decades, you get a little bit of cachet there because the track record's there, right? And the success is there. Now, when you look at what's happening in Lincoln now and the guys with experience and the guys from the 10,000-foot view with the giant microscope, looks like Matt Rule is bringing in to do his job. Are you concerned? Do you think it's smart? A little bit of both.
I think it's really good because not only do you have people who understand the overall operation of the football team and how it's supposed to look and what it needs to be to produce wins, you also have other voices in the room who, from experience, can say, hey, I think we should do it differently.
Yeah.
And those voices of former head coaches are probably going to be a little bit more respected than if it was coming from someone who had never done that before.
See,
and that's not saying anything about Matt Rule. That's just saying something about human nature, that you're more apt to take advice from someone who has been in the position you're in than from someone who hasn't.
The one thing that kind of we talked about this a lot on the show. Matt Rule doesn't say anything by accident. The one thing that Matt Rule said out loud that I kind of wondered if he wanted to take it back right after he said it. He talked about how lonely that position can get at times. And he said it, and you can almost see him physically try to reach to grab it back. Like he really didn't mean for that one to come out. And I wonder how much of that was because a lot of the guys that he had around him. Is that me? I think that's I heard it too. So I think it's something with my microphone.
I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, like I went to like a monotone only on the right side. Anyway, one of the things that said to me is I wonder how much hiring Tony White in that position as the one guy that he wasn't comfortable with or wasn't familiar with or didn't know from a previous background really affected his mindset, because that's his side of the ball too. And Tony White got a ton of that credit. And I don't think that's an issue for Matt Rule, but it is for some guys. And I wonder how much of that person, that voice in the room, and especially the overall overpowering personality that a guy like Terrence Knighton had, beloved by everybody in that staff, right? But definitely was clearly a big-time personality. And his voice probably shrinking in that room a little bit. I wonder how much that kind of affected with how he hired these roles too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. Hadn't really thought in those terms, I guess.
And I only say that because of this position can get lonely at time comments. And if you feel that way and you feel like you're on an island, you got to go get some guys that don't make you feel that way.
Sure. I think, but Matt Rule has sort of stepped out of his comfort zone with a lot of these hires.
Yeah.
Dana Holgorsen, John Butler, the new defensive line coach.
Well, I mean, I don't think you could say that about John Butler. Former Penn State guy. They've known each other and worked together in Carolina. I mean, it's not like he's completely unfamiliar with him.
Right, but as his defensive coordinator, though.
Sure.
Right, as a position coach, I understand it. Making him your defensive coordinator, that's a little change. It's not a big change, a little change.
We talked about the opposite of a quarterback and the direct opposite of that. Is it fair to look at John Butler and say, the direct opposite of Dana Holgorsen, experienced head coach, offensive-minded guru, done this for a long time, done it at multiple places, is John Butler? Anybody know why USC wrote his name as Tony Butler up on the wall for a minute? It made me do a double take.
I don't know. I mean, John Butler's vast experience has been in the NFL. Dana's is mostly in college.
They seem like completely opposite of each other, though, on paper at least.
But again, like they're both guys who are not afraid to get in someone's face. They're guys who are, from what we've heard, like straight talk. We're not going to mince words. We're going to tell you exactly what needs to be said. I don't know that it's that different, honestly.
A name that I don't think people are going to talk about in the coming weeks, but as soon as spring gets here and fall gets here, is Phil Simpson, a guy that was really beloved the first time he was here by the people that were around him. I'm a little surprised with how quiet that hire has been, just because I think it's a really good one. And I think people are going to be really It's surprised me for a couple of reasons. A, the fact that Rob Dvorak isn't the defensive coordinator and this hire happened is surprising to me. And B, I don't think Rob Dvorak came off as a guy that needed help with those outside linebackers either.
Yeah. It is interesting, right? Like we've seen Prince will go into the portal. We saw I don't know. Kind of a, I guess
you've seen a mass exodus of pass rushers.
An underperformance from that Jack linebacker spot. Is that fair to say? Like they didn't quite live up to expectations.
See, but I hesitate to say that, because that's how good Nash and Ty were. They ate up that edge, so there wasn't, the need, like the second wave couldn't always get there type situations. I mean,
sometimes
I don't really feel like Jamari Butler, we could say he underperformed. You disagree with that?
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to say in totality, but I think it's a good idea to get a fresh set of eyes on those outside linebackers. That's how I'll say it. I think that they could be better.
The one thing that I'm going to be most curious about is when you see a guy like Malachi Coleman leave the program, and you see a guy. By the way, Eric Gilbert's in the transfer portal. In case anybody was wondering.
He on our team?
In case anybody's wondering, no.
Eric Gilbert.
Yeah.
The question was, where is he transferring from?
Yeah,
the portal.
His couch.
I wonder how much, when you see guys like Malachi Coleman leave the program,
the vape shop,
guys like Keanu Davis, leave the program. Guys that this team was really high on, wanted a red shirt because they like the possibility long term. I wonder how much Matt Rule is going to change his approach to the red shirt portion of college football, because it seems like something he wants to do, something he wants to be put in place. But I don't know if getting guys that are super talented. I mean, Keon Davis was being referred to as the second coming of Ndamukong Suh.
That is crazy.
And he's already gone. I wonder how much this team is going to pivot, because I think guys like Riley Van Poppel are the exception and not the rule. Guys are going to be okay with waiting for that playing time. I wonder how much they pivot away from that, because I think it's probably in their best interest to do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think red shirts are
it's going to be tough to do, man.
Mostly a thing of the past. Like, who's going to agree to use one of their 5 years to just sit?
It was a tough sell beforehand. It was a tough sell when guys couldn't leave willy-nilly. Now that they can, let's see how many times we say willy-nilly in the show.
I'm at the risk of being get off my lawn guy. Like, this generation is me first. What have you done for me lately? I want it now. I don't want to wait. Like,
what'd you think of Emmett Johnson? And,
that was a leverage play.
Agreed. And I listen, I think Emmett Johnson, if he walked in this room right now, would probably tell you that. I don't have a problem with it. Do you have a problem with
it? That's how the game's played now. This is the sport.
100%.
Like, this is what it is.
And that's why I got a lot. I'm sure everybody in this room did. Got a lot of texts this weekend about Dylan Raiola. Dylan Raiola's uncle is the offensive line coach. Dylan Raiola's sister is on the staff in Lincoln. They have done everything as they possibly can to put up a wall around Dylan Raiola in the city of Lincoln. He's not going anywhere. But I will caution everybody, whether you're a Nebraska fan, you're a Notre Dame fan, you root for Texas, you really like Alaska Junior College up there in Anchorage, whoever it may be. When you see a name get thrown out as a possibility of entering the portal before it opens, hold the reins a little bit. Yeah. Don't jump ship right automatically and think, well, it's a possibility, because I think it's in everybody's best interest to keep their phone on. Call it tampering if you want, but to keep their options open.
And we have heard from several reporters in the Nebraska media sphere who have said, look, Dylan Raiola, Ja'Cory Barney, they're being tampered with. They're getting calls from opposing coaches on a weekly basis. They're trying to get them to transfer. They're offering them huge sums of money. And so when you see both of those guys staying, not leaving, it's got to give you at least some confidence that things are pretty good in Lincoln. Like, it's got to tell you that the culture is pretty solid and everybody likes the way things are going.
Yeah, they're nowhere
not
near
everybody.
And they're nowhere near the number they need to cut down to, by the way.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, when those two guys, two true freshmen who played a ton of football for Nebraska and looked really good doing it for the most part, when those guys are staying in the face of all the phone calls that they were getting, things are going to be okay.
Yeah, and I think like the thing about the defensive line exodus that we talked about a minute ago that's really going to suck is there was a lot of those spots that were going to be for sure taken up, and other guys are going to have to let go. I think you're going to have to let go of more guys you didn't want to. Even more now, because you got to fill that room up.
And a lot of them are going to be guys who you were hoping not necessarily that they would play in their first 2 years on campus, but that maybe would play in their final 2 of their 5 years on campus.
Yeah, you're
going to have to lose.
There's going to be some upperclassmen being left. Yeah, I agree. Hey, we got to tell you what we got right, what we got wrong, and what we didn't see coming in college football. But before we do that, we got to tell you about Controlled Comfort Heating and Air. They sponsored this segment. Listen, I've told you this a bunch of times. When we were in LA, Controlled Comfort came out to my house within an hour of my AC not working. They got it fixed within an hour after that. You don't have to break glass in a case of emergency. You know what I did to make sure that doesn't happen next summer? I got a maintenance appointment set up with Controlled Comfort. They came out, they tested my furnace. They said, yeah, Jimmy, don't worry about your furnace. It is good to go. Your AC unit, you're probably going to have to replace that in the next couple of years, but what we did over the summer is going to get you along until that has to be replaced. Get peace of mind about your HVAC unit with Controlled Comfort. Head over to controlledcomfort.com and book a maintenance appointment tonight. We'll be right back. Tell you what we got wrong, what we got right, and what we didn't see coming in college football this weekend.
Hey everybody, John Schreiner here for Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. If you're looking for the best in Creighton Blue, you need to get yourself to 78th and Dodge. That's where Jerry Ryan is located. They got the Billy Blue Jay right there on the chest of your old Peter Millar, your Johnny O, or your Cutter and Buck. And listen to this, they got the exclusive women's polos from Tommy Bahama. That's right. Your significant other happens to be a woman, happens to want some Tommy Bahama, and happens to want that in a polo, get yourself to 78th and Dodge. Makes a great Christmas gift. Makes somebody really happy this year. And you got to stop by for the Mizzen and Main Roan pants. Super comfy, easy to take care of. You will look great. Jerry Ryan is a place to be this basketball season, and they've been dressed in Omaha for over 50 years.
.625 on a Tuesday night edition of the After Hours Lounge, brought to you by Bellevue University. Download the BU Bruins app right now. Why do you need to do it right now? Because Trish Sedlick in the volleyball program at Bellevue University are vying for their first ever national championship in under 40 minutes. And you can keep up to date on all things Bellevue Athletics by downloading the app tonight. What did we get right? What did we get wrong? What did we not see coming in championship weekend of college football? I will go ahead and start us off. I was right about Clemson. You're going to say, wait a second, Jimmy, you said that SMU was going to win the ACC championship before the season started. And I did. And that is true. But I did say last week that I thought Clemson was going to win this game because what the new era of college football does for football is it gives us the Tom Izzo effect in college football. It gives you the ability for a coach that is as good as Dabo Swinney is at the X's and O's a chance to vie for a national championship by winning his conference championship. This is why conference championships are important, and we need to keep the automatic bids for this reason.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, they got in. That's all you're asking for, right? That's what they say in the NFL. Just give us a spot in the tournament.
You can say all you want about Dabo Swinney and his bad takes, because there are plenty. But the dude can coach football and will give you a chance to win a championship.
Yep. No
That's
doubt
why he's
about
not
it.
going anywhere anytime soon. What'd you get right?
There is not a team with 3 losses that didn't win their conference in the college football playoff.
Yeah,
I told you guys this wasn't going to happen.
I
made
lunch.
a bet that this wasn't going to happen.
Are we picking on air? Do you want to pick where we're going? Should this be a Cunningham's appointment?
We could make a Cunningham's appointment out of it.
All right. Dan, you're included on this. We'll rope you in. I'll get you some free lunch.
All right.
What? Whoa.
Graduate.
You got to go to school.
Graduate.
Brody.
We'll talk about it.
Go back to school.
I'm not
you
getting-
got
Go to
class.
school for 2 hours a day.
I'm not getting you out of journalism class.
You don't know the type of food I have to have.
Shout out to Gretny.
Here's the thing. The committee has told you what it values, and that is your win-loss record. That's what matters more than everything else.
Does not matter that Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois.
Doesn't
They're the 5
matter.
seed.
It only matters how many have, like, the first criteria is how many have you won and how many have you lost.
And what have you done for me lately?
Right. And Alabama lost.
Are you pissed
3.
if you're Illinois or Indiana? Excuse me. You qualify for the college football playoff, and your reward is you get to travel an hour and 15 minutes down the road.
Yep.
Enjoy the vacation.
Yep.
Dan, what'd you get right this weekend?
Wise man once said, "You're no longer behind a plow. You're never going to get rich from digging a ditch because you're in the Army now." The Golden Knights of America's Army and New York's West Point
Mm-hmm.
are the champions of the American Athletic Conference. And what do they get for their rewards and riches for winning their Group of 5 conference?
Nothing.
Well, nothing. But they do still get to play in the Army-Navy game this weekend, and that's fun. I was very excited. I picked this one correctly on Friday when we did the Dogs picks.
You sure did.
I was not here.
And
R.I.P.
love a
didn't die.
good Army win to prove once and for all that the Army is a superior football.
Can we stop doing the why is Army not in over Boise State comparison?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Boise State played it close to the number 1 team in the country.
Yep.
That's the difference, right? Can we all agree on that? Like, there was a bunch of national shows doing this weird thing over the weekend. It was really irritating me.
I was about to say,
And
who
Army
is
got
making that
absolutely
comparison?
throttled.
Yeah.
Jody Mack.
Army
Well,
got
who you can hear after
throttled
the
by
show.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They should, like, Boise State was the more deserving team. Love my service academies. Congratulations to Army. Boise State's a better team.
Yeah.
It would be cool if Army made it in.
Would
That
be very cool.
Would be
Brody,
very cool.
What'd you get right about
I don't
this
remember
weekend?
who all was on the Arizona State side, but last week,
I think all
Tuesday,
of us.
I think it was
It was
us.
not all of us. There was one of us in this room.
Was it opposite?
That
Okay.
was not, yeah.
Well, then I should probably switch this around because I said Arizona State beating Iowa State, but I think that's what I actually got wrong. I couldn't remember if it was Arizona State
you
or
were-
Iowa State.
Yeah, you were with me. We both took Iowa State. That's not what I got wrong, though. I got Army wrong. And Dan, you'll remember this. I agreed with you. I said that I thought they were going to win this game. I did not think they were going to blow Tulane out. They handled business. That defense at West Point is for real, and they absolutely dominated that game, and I was completely wrong about that. I thought they'd win by 3 points. They won by much more than that. John, what'd you get wrong?
I didn't actually think that they'd give Boise State a bye.
Whoa.
You were on this for a while. That's not something you said publicly, but yeah,
I didn't actually believe that they would give Boise State a bye. Like, I just felt like they would shift it around somehow so that Boise State would not get that bye, and I was wrong. Like, they actually did it. I can't believe it, but they actually did it. They gave the Broncos of Boise State
off not a very
like,
convincing win either, by the way.
the consistently most
They won by 2 touchdowns.
disrespected non-power conference team in the country.
Yeah.
Like, all the years that they fought to try and have a seat at the table,
I think it
could
helps
never
that it's-
get one.
I think it helps that it's Boise though, because if this is
Yeah.
Tulane or this is Army, I don't even think it's in question.
But here they are.
What'd you get wrong, Dan? That sweater?
No, he's very
Wish we
right.
could
No,
show it.
he's
Can't really
very
see it on
right.
camera.
for
I'm
this
very
sweater.
right about this sweater. The one thing that I got wrong was legitimately predicting the scores of the big two games of the weekend, aka the Big Ten and SEC championship.
Yeah, Penn State was much closer than I thought.
I thought that those two were going to be flip-flopped. I thought Penn State Oregon was going to be a fairly low-scoring affair between.
I think
those
most of us in this room
teams.
did, right?
Shootout.
And I thought that Georgia Texas was going to be a just wild race to the finish, but it turns out that if you're in the SEC, field goals are great, and it turns out that if you're in the Big Ten, maybe it's kind of air raidy looking.
Yeah.
I don't really understand why, but
We got to get through this really quick because we got to get through the Gretna East girls. I didn't see coming Arizona State blowing out Iowa State.
Yeah, and I was just going there. The score in the Big Ten championship game, I did not see that coming at all.
Dan, really quickly.
Really quickly, I did not see, as you alluded to earlier, Penn State keeping it as close as they did. I thought that they actually had a legitimate chance to win that football game at many points.
We got to
Many
get
have
to
said.
we got to get to the Gretna East Griffins and their girls basketball program here really quickly. If you missed this segment, check it out, SoundCloud.com/After Hours 1620. It was brought to you by 402 Barbecue. If you can stop by 84th and Spring Monday through Saturday from 11 to 6, you can try mine and John's personal favorites, the Cadillac sandwich. It's brisket, it's pork. It's topped off with their world famous smoked mac and cheese. You make sure you mention the Kelly and the team. You heard about them in After Hours. They're going to throw in a free soda with the purchase and the mention of our show. It's 402 Barbecue. Stop by 84th and Spring tomorrow and grab lunch. We're talking Griffins basketball on the other side of the break. We come back here on 1620 Zone.
Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Bob at Williams Law. You know what's not fun at this time of year as we head into the holiday season? You got one of those legal issues that you haven't quite taken care of yet. Maybe you're not even sure how to take care of it. You got some questions? Bob is going to get those answered for you. Call him at 402-522-6317. Get the answers you are looking for. You can get yourself a free, no-obligation legal consultation where Bob will sit down, walk you through whatever the situation you're facing, how he would defend you or represent you in that specific legal case, and then you can be on your way ready to answer all those questions that you may have. Check him out at williamslawllc.com and get your free, no-obligation legal consultation.
6:36 on a Tuesday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. Everybody calling 402-951-1620. No, we cannot keep you updated on the Bellevue Bruins score. Head over to your smartphone, download the BU Bruins app to keep up to date on the national championship game in the NAIA, where Bellevue is competing to win a national title tonight. Joining us in studio, excuse me, is Wade Coulter, the head coach of the Gretna East Griffins girls basketball program. Coach, thanks for being here.
Not a problem. Thanks for having us.
You brought Carly Williams, Addison LaRock, and Haley Levinson with you tonight. Coach, 18-9 a year ago. Don't make the tournament, though. Can you look at that as an overall success?
I would say last year was a success. We got to the state tournament in our first year as a school.
Sure.
Let alone winning a game at the state tournament. And I mean, Class A, Class B, even Class C. I was in Class C for a long time. Lincoln Lutheran, Columbus, SCOTUS. It's always a difficult chore just to get to the dance.
It's tough to win.
So to get down there to the state tournament last year as a first-year school without a senior, we basically had a bunch of kids that either played JV basketball the year before, didn't play basketball the year before, or were playing in junior high the year before. And somehow, some way, we're getting to Pinnacle Bank Arena and winning a basketball game down there. So I'd say we reached our ceiling last season.
That's a pretty good achievement, man. Congratulations on that. But I want to talk to you about culture building, especially as a new school when you don't have those predecessors and those kids from before to point at and say, this is how this team did it. How do you go about that, like starting that from the ground up?
Get really good athletes, give them the ball, and get out of the way.
Good answer. Yeah.
But I always kind of see the coaching staff like a hardware store, like a Home Depot or an Ace Hardware or whatever, where we're all on the same team. We've all got to do our part. And the coach's part of that is laying the foundation, but giving them tools. Like we have to give them tools to be successful. They have to build the house, but we kind of have to provide the opportunity for them to build that house. You build that house in the off season, you put the studs up, you put the insulation in so we don't freeze in the winter, so to speak. And I was lucky, similar to the other schools I've been at, where when you have really high character kids that are good in the classroom and really athletic, even if basketball is not necessarily their primary thing, they're coachable. They are willing to be criticized and accept it and improve and get better and do things the right way on and off the court. It makes my life and our staff's life way easier.
Foundation set. The studs are in. The insulation's put in. What is easier about year 2 than was in year 1?
Everything was from scratch. Last year, the summer of it'd be 2023, we literally, like you guys mentioned, we had no foundation in place.
Yeah.
We had absolutely nothing from scratch, which there's an exciting element to that. You got to write your own history. You got to do it from the ground up. And 10 years from now, we get to look back. These guys get to come back to school. And, it's really cool to reminisce on that, I think, down the road. But from my point of view, this summer was much easier because, okay, we have our base stuff in. Now let's add this. Let's tweak this. This went really well for us last year. What can we do to make it even better? These are the things that, bit us a little bit last season when we struggled against some really quality competition later in the season at the state tournament. If we want to get over the hump or improve or take the next step, we have to fix, these 2 or 3 things. And this summer we could focus on those instead of focusing on, foundational, fundamental things we had to do a year and a half ago.
Everybody loves the end of the season when you get to like the conference and district and you get that chance to go play for state. What do you like about this time of year right now where we're at this point?
I treat every game like a state tournament game.
Yeah.
They all matter. I mean, every practice matters. We say this all the time. And I don't say it as coach speak. Every day we're going to get better or worse. Like there's no staying the same. You did one or the other every single day at every practice, every open gym, every weight room session. So, and ironically enough, we basically are playing a state tournament here the second weekend of the season. 3 of our next 4 opponents will probably be the top 3 teams in Class B, Bennington Pius and Omaha Scott.
You might see them again down the road. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess we're going to find out where we're at real quick, playing teams like that. But as you said, it's a little bit of mental gymnastics. That's what coaching is to me, quite honestly. Like, I don't know what I'm doing basketball wise, but I can trick you into doing things sometimes. So you got to trick those. It sounds terrible. You've got to do the mental gymnastics though, and get kids to buy in.
We call that motivation, I think, Coach.
Yes.
You got to motivate them.
So why do you lie to your players? No, I'm just kidding. So interesting thing about the 3 athletes you chose to bring with you tonight. They're all multi-sport athletes. Why is it such a big deal for you to have multi-sport athletes on your team?
I think you look at like college football, the games this weekend, the dudes on those teams, like they probably played shortstop in high school. Patrick Mahomes, I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I mean, the guy was a phenomenal multi-sport athlete. In these guys' case, whether it's volleyball, there's some transitional skills there, like be long, run, jump, fast twitch. soccer, the anticipation we have in some of our presses, the on-ball defense, like the ability to essentially annoy the other person with the ball in front of you, like just be an agitator. I'm not saying like we play dirty.
Do they
or
do that
anything,
in
but
practice?
well, that's honestly the best thing about our program, especially this year. We're a little bit deeper. We have a 4th grade this year. We have a few extra bodies in our program this year. So this is kind of what I was fortunate at Lincoln Lutheran. We played 10, 11 kids, played as fast as humanly possible. Well, really good defensively, not so awesome offensively, but it got us to a state title game. Here, similarly, we have 10, 12, 15 kids, and we don't have to beg them to compete at practice.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, this is kind of what's ingrained in them because they're really high character kids. We're going to push each other every drill we do to get better because we know if we don't push each other, we're going to pay for it on game day.
Well, let's talk to a couple of those players. They joined us in the studio as well. Carly Williams is with us. Carly, go ahead and step up and grab the mic. You're a multi-sport athlete. We just talked about with Coach. You play soccer and hoops. Why is it such a big deal for you to be able to play both sports at Gretna/Gretna East throughout your high school career?
I think just in general, playing 2 sports gets me more connected with the school, and I get to meet more like different groups of people. But like he said, it also just like they go together. I think like soccer feeds into basketball and vice versa. So I think it's just important for me to do both.
So how is that then to you? How does playing soccer make you a better basketball player?
I think for me, it's kind of a balance, so I don't get like overwhelmed with just one. But also like the basketball court, the anticipation. Soccer and basketball are kind of similar, like spacing wise. So they help when reading the game. Also,
have you ever stuffed Brody Heidemann in a locker and stole his lunch money?
I have not.
Okay, no, this isn't the girl that did that to you. Okay, can you talk about your high school journey? Because obviously you and the other 2 ladies in this room have a unique story to tell. You were at Gretna for 2 years. You're essentially taken out of your home school and then taken to this new school. How has that really affected your soccer journey and your basketball journey, but allowed you still to be your own separate athlete and have success?
Yeah. So we started out our freshman and sophomore year at Gretna High School, and then we got told that we were going to have to move to Gretna East because that's where we lived for our junior and senior year. For soccer, it was very difficult because going from Gretna, we had a lot of talent there.
A little bit of success, yeah.
Won 2 state tournaments. But we managed and we learned and we overcame those obstacles. And the same thing for basketball. Us 3 actually didn't go out for basketball our sophomore year. So it was also a transition to like come back to basketball and get back to all those skills that we haven't done in a while. But I think we overcame them and we're doing pretty good so far, I would say.
What's it been like to be sort of the first at a new school, right? We talk to a lot of kids who come on our show about the history and the tradition and the pressures from the past that they're under, given the school that they're at. But you don't have any of that at Gretna East, really. What's that been like for you?
I personally thought it's been really fun. Like we get to write our own history, basically. We can almost do whatever we want in a sense.
Coach?
I'm going to let that ride.
Well, okay. So we can start all the team culture. Like we can dictate a lot of that. And so far, I think it's been very positive and it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
That's an interesting point, man. Have you guys talked about the legacy of what it means for this class to be the first one to graduate from Gretna East?
A little bit to a sense, but I think we all just kind of show up and do
the work.
But,
yeah, sure. Well, let's talk to somebody else that's doing the work with you. Addison LaRocque is with us in studio as well. We kind of talked to Coach about this. What is something that's been easier for you as a player this year in year 2 than a year ago?
Well, as Carly mentioned, like none of us went out our sophomore year, but I think coming back to it, it was just one of those things where it's like, are those like skills and everything going to be there? So it was a lot more work last year, like putting all that in. This year we can focus on the things that we didn't do as well last year and just like bring it into that and hopefully get farther than we did last year.
So how do you take some of that winning culture that you've had, winning that state title in soccer in the first year as a competitive school, and sort of transport that into the basketball program?
Well, I just think like as the leaders, we do a good job of bringing the energy and all those things that we need, but also like the underclassmen, they bring it as well. And like they come up and they buy into what we want to do. So like Coach said, we all help each other every day, work hard. Everybody works hard so we make each other better.
Have you ever given Brody Heidemann a wedgie? No. Okay.
No.
You're staying close to home. You're going to UNO.
So sorry.
This is what you get for setting this up, Brody. Why was UNO the right pick for you, and why are you staying in Omaha?
Honestly, I always knew I kind of want to be closer to home, but like the culture of that team, I kind of have known it. And like one of the head coach there is actually one of our assistant coaches on my club team, so just made it an easy transition.
Sure.
And also, I have like 3 or 4 players on my club team that are going there with me, so it'll just be fun to stay with them.
Your parents happy you're staying closer to home?
Yeah, actually, both my parents graduated from UNO.
Your
too.
parents' names are?
Jessica LaRock and Matt LaRock.
Shout out to Jessica and Matt LaRock. Hopefully you're listening.
All right, here's the challenge. It's you and Carly. You got to sink a half-court shot and then score from the spot against the keeper. Who does it in the fewest attempts?
We were debating, and we agreed that I would make the half-court shot first, but then the actual kick, it might be her. So
what a
it would even
what a
out,
good
I'd
teammate.
say.
Even again, sure, absolutely. Addison, we thank you for being here tonight, and congratulations on all the success on the pitch, and hopefully that rolls over to the court this season as well. We'll go over to Haley Levinson, who joins us in studio as well. I got a question for you. Your dad was a very mediocre high school basketball player.
You could say.
Your uncle is the head coach at UNK for the basketball program. Your family owns a basketball gym. We're going to play volleyball. Why was volleyball your calling?
Well, my mom played it like all throughout high school, and she even
I
played
did not
it
know that. Okay.
even in college. And I feel like, I don't know, right when I started playing volleyball, I just kind of knew that was going to be my sport, even though my dad still wants me to play basketball so bad.
What defines success? We talked to Coach about success last year. Obviously, the state tournament win is a successful landmark. What defines success for this team this year?
I feel like even like throughout the whole summer, all 4 grades, we all show up every single day of the summer. We all show up every single day of practice, and we're like buying into what the coaches say. All the girls are buying into each other, and we just like make practice really fun and very competitive.
Well, we've kind of talked about this with all 3 of you here, but it's like basketball's not the first sport for all 3 of you. We see so much specialization with athletes today. Why do you think you have chosen to continue to play other sports and not just focus on the one that's your primary?
Well, kind of going off what Carly said, I feel like it like gives me an even balance. Like I'm not just fully focused on volleyball, but I'm like also kind of focused on basketball. But then it also helps me on the court, like blocking wise, like I'm moving side to side way better, like even in basketball, just like things like that. I feel like it helps me for both sports.
Are you the vocal leader on the court?
Yes.
Is that what's going on with the voice?
Yeah,
or?
Sort of.
Do you know, does Brody Heidemann have any friends at school?
That's a hard question.
Probably not. Okay.
He does.
We assume not, so that's okay. When you're a senior,
this has just gotten mean. It's been mean. It's not. I'm not even laughing anymore.
When you're a senior and you guys obviously have your own personal goals, you're all going off to play college at the next level in a different sport. Is it difficult in your last year of high school to look at the success you've had up to this point and keep your personal goals in check as well as keeping an eye on the team goals?
I feel like most of my personal goals is like like some of our goals for the team. Like we all like obviously like one of my goals is like showing up every day, working hard, and I feel like that's everyone else's goals, and we all like bounce off each other. So I feel like I don't need to like difference them. They're like kind of collide together, I guess.
What's your favorite coachism? What's the thing that Coach Coulter always says?
He either talks about his cats a lot. Shout out to the cats, Luna and Nero, and
apparently not enough. She forgot the name, so you're gonna have to
he
work
says
that in a little more.
In a perfect world.
In a perfect world. Yep. All right. Good.
Haley, you're headed off to is it Maryville, right?
Yeah.
Why was Maryville the right place for you?
Well, it's like the perfect amount away from home. Like I could come home on the weekend, but then it's also not like they have to come see me every weekend.
Sure.
And then also I just love like the coach and the culture there, and yeah.
Michelle or Cody, who's gonna miss you more while you're gone?
I think my mom's going to show him more, but secretly I think it'll be my dad.
Well, thank you very much on being here.
Thank you.
Good luck at Maryville. Good luck this season. Coach, we'll go back over to you to wrap this thing up. And we're catching up with Wade Coulter, the head coach of the girls basketball program at Gretna East. Sorry. There's not even an Elkhorn East, so I don't even know how I
did.
He
weekday, and he calls us the wrong.
At Gretna East, they're the Griffins. Let me ask this, Coach. Not only how does this team get back to state this year, how do you win a state title?
Get better every day. And here's the thing about sports and life in general. We might do every single thing right. We might do every single thing within our power to get better every single day. But you get down to Pinnacle Bank Arena or a district final, maybe the shots don't go in. Maybe the other team plays phenomenal. Villanova, Georgetown, 1985.
There you go.
I mean, somebody can play a perfect game against you. So we're going to control what we can control. And that's pay attention to detail, do all the small things well, hold each other accountable, get better every day between now and March 1st, that's the sub-state game. And if we're fortunate enough to win on March 1st, hopefully we're playing March 6th, 7th, and 8th. We'll cross those bridges when you come to them.
Coach, we appreciate you being here. Good luck this winter, and thanks for bringing the girls in tonight. That's Wade Coulter, the head coach of the Gretna East girls basketball program. If you missed the Griffin segment tonight, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by Cunningham's Pub. Tomorrow's a Wing Wednesday. You like free beer and wings? Well, now that we got your attention, all you got to do is head over to our Twitter page at afterhours1620. Retweet the gift of the wing we're going to push out tomorrow night. We're going to enter you into a drawing to win a $25 gift card to either one of the Cunningham's locations throughout the Omaha area. We'll talk to Derek and the crew tomorrow to get a lowdown on what's going on, the Next Tap Takeover, and the great, delicious items on the menu as well. Check out Cunningham's tonight, either one of their 2 great locations in Blackstone or out on Old Mill Road. We'll be right back, find out what's trending on social media on 1620 The Zone. I got a real quick ad read. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Forsman's Finest Decks. It's going to be spring sooner than you know it, and that winter snow will be gone off your backyard. And if you just have a little bit of grass that covers up the yard, you don't have a deck, you need to check out Forsman's Finest Decks. They can build you a deck, put a cover on it, add that something that your house has been missing. Head over to forsmansfinest.com and have your dream deck built in 2025. $6.55 on a Tuesday night edition of the After Hours Lounge, brought to you by Bellevue University. Download the BU Bruins app to keep up to date on all things Bellevue Athletics, whether it be the national championship game tonight. Keep up to date on Lucas Gabriel's men's basketball team. We're going to talk to Coach here on the other side of the break. Keep up to date on all things Bellevue University by downloading the BU Bruins app tonight. Brody, you were assigned with one job.
I think I found something.
You found something.
I think
Okay.
I found something. Okay, one sec.
Get the dumb button ready.
It's not. No, it's actually going to be the sweet, sweet sound of a golf swing.
Spoiler alert.
Maybe the site is muted. I'm sorry. Here we go. It's Scotty Scheffler.
Okay.
Showing us how to shape every single ball. All 12, I believe. Dan wants to go down the line. He can.
Yep, there are 12 surface shots, and they are low, mid, and high, and straight draw and fade.
You guys
And
No, come on.
Scotty Scheffler
Scotty
is
Scheffler
the
is
one
it?
who's making instructional videos on how to do all of
Well,
them.
he's the world's number one. Makes sense.
And
You guys are low
Brody,
mediocre golfers in Omaha, Nebraska.
And he won the PGA Tour Player of the Year.
Yeah.
To
but
whose surprise?
I was going to say, and
who is surprised
the other
here?
candidates were the cop that arrested him. Like, I don't know who else could have been in consideration for this.
Xander Schauffele.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He's like the only other name that people have argued because he won 2 majors, but everyone has pointed out that while Xander Schauffele did win 2 majors, Scotty Scheffler won 9 separate events
And got arrested. People forget.
Yeah, and got arrested, and then won that event.
Was this just your guys' way of rubbing it in people's face it's December and they can't go play golf right now?
Actually, if you were really cool, you could have gotten out
Yeah.
and played golf on Saturday.
Saturday.
And Sunday.
Yeah,
Tiburon
you
Golf
could've.
Course was open.
You
Probably
could
could have
have.
got out there today, too. It wasn't half bad until it started snowing. Hey, if you missed the social media soundbite tonight, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours16. 20 was brought to you by our friends at Pixel Fire Marketing. They specialize in website design, creating social media ads, and engaging your business online. If your company could benefit from any of that, check out pixelfiremarketing.com tonight. Maybe you're sick of doing your own SEO. They can help you out with that. Make sure you're the top option on Google as well. Check out pixelfiremarketing.com tonight. We'll be right back talking to the head Bruin himself, Lucas Gabriel, in studio, talking Bellevue men's basketball on the other side of the break. Here on 1620 The Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for AX Plumbing. And if you go down to the things that can go wrong with your plumbing, I've had it happen to me this year in my house. My main line backed up. I had a wax ring go bad underneath my toilet. It's happened to me all across the board. And the one plumber that is there every time at a drop of a dime is our friends at AX Plumbing. Head over to axpservice.com tonight. They can fix all of your plumbing needs. If you don't have the money available to fix your plumbing issues, there's financing available as well. Check out axpservice.com. There's also a discount for current and former military members as well. 7:01 on the top of the hour here on 1620 The Zone. Jimmy Allen, John Schreiner, Brody Heidemann, Dan Campanen, now interviewing Lucas Gabriel, the head basketball coach at Bellevue University. We are brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Become the number one roofer in Omaha for over a decade by accident. Head over to pyramidroof.com where you never have to settle for less. Coach, how are you, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Jimmy.
You guys obviously coming off a 2-game road stretch. Tough 2 losses. One goes into overtime. What does this team have to do to get back on the right side of things heading into conference play and a couple of home games?
Well, we've talked a ton this week about getting back to controlling our controllables. We're getting back to doing not worrying about the refs, not worrying about if you're making shots. Getting back to you can block out every time. You can remember to be safety every time, and running our plays with the little details. And so we just want to control our controllables so we can get back on track. And if we do that, we will.
Having watched you a couple of times this season and been on the broadcast for a couple of them, it's really interesting the way you like to run the platoons. And you have 2 groups of 5 that it's almost like hockey line changes when you're switching out. Just where did this sort of strategy come from? How did you come up with it, and why does it work for you?
Yeah, for us, I think we haven't always done it. We've done different things. There's been years where we've done this. There's been years where we run an 8-man rotation. It's always figuring out our particular group that year and what gives us the best chance to win. We think this is what just gives us the best chance to win. Obviously Rick Pitino did that at Kentucky for years. So if it's good enough for
Kentucky,
worked out for
him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably good enough for us too. But I think the main thing for us is that we have a lot of really good players. We're deep, and the platoon style allows me to play more guys. And because if we want to run a 7 or 8-man rotation like a lot of schools do, then we're going to have 2 or 3 guys that are pretty darn good getting no minutes at all.
Yeah.
And I want to find minutes for all these guys because I think we have a lot of different guys that bring something to the table.
And that was sort of my follow-up to this is like, how much of that is also like giving more opportunities to more people to get to play college basketball?
Yeah. If I didn't feel like we truly had 10, 11 guys that were quality players, we wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I do want to be clear about that. It's not really about making
no participation trophy.
No, we want to win the league again like we did last year. And so we just think that this is what gives us the best chance to win. We feel like we're a deep roster. I will say this, our conference schedule, we play Friday, Saturday night.
Yep.
Saturday night after playing a hard-nosed Friday night game with only 7-8 guys is a grind.
You're probably not going to play 38 minutes back-to-back nights.
I mean, you can, but I think over the course of the season, I think it wears guys down and it leads to injuries and other problems. And when you're running a deeper rotation like we are, I think it gives you a huge advantage for Saturday. I think it gives more than we can come at you on the scouting report. You can't just worry about 1 or 2 guys on our roster. You have 10 guys that you got to worry about. You're not sure who's going to pop off that night.
Yep.
I think it makes us harder to scout. I think there's a lot of positives to it. So that's why we do it.
Can you appreciate the fact that, you do have guys, there's different body types, right? Like when you look at what Nigel Wilson brings to the table versus Neymar Vincent versus an RJ Smith, like those are all 3 guys that play the 5 that are all completely different body types and can give you different things. Like, do you have obviously you built this roster, but do you have an appreciation for how different those guys are and what they can bring to the table?
Yeah, and I think that goes along with the platoon. Our platoons are very different styles. When Big RJ's group that you alluded to, they're really a more fundamental group, really working together. We probably call more set plays when they're in to get the ball into Big RJ. Whereas, Nigel is longer and more athletic. And if you look at his group is a little longer and quicker and more athletic. And so they play a little faster and get up and down. And I think that makes us an awkward scout for the opponent because it's almost like you're playing 2 different teams depending on which group I have platooning into the game at that particular point. Of course, as you know, Jimmy, when it gets down to the final 6-7 minutes, we usually kind of roll with the 5 guys that have been playing the best that game. But so the finishing lineup can change from time to time. But yeah, no, I have I love that we're so different depending on which group is in the game.
Has anybody surprised you this year?
For our own roster.
On your own roster, yeah.
Other than the great play-by-play and color analysts that have been on the broadcast.
Yeah. Well,
That's an all-time upset.
I will say this. We got a young man, a local guy from Bellevue West on our roster, Dang Jaw.
Yeah.
And, Dang has been in the program for 4 years. He has never really worked his way into the lineup in terms of playing time. He's always been on the team. He's always worked hard. He gets good grades. He's a great guy. He's just really improved. He's at a point now where he's playing, 16 to 18 minutes off the bench for us. And he doesn't score a ton of points, but he gets deflections. He's long. The offense flows smoothly when he's in the game. He kind of, you almost call him a connector, And so I think he's been the biggest surprise. I don't think going into the season, anyone on the coaching staff, including myself, was expecting him to be playing this much, but he's just, outplayed some of his teammates and earned every inch he's got. And I love that it's a local Bellevue West guy doing it too. So
I want to talk about another local guy. I mean, I think I bring him up every time he's in here, but he was such a factor for you guys last season. Emar Vincent plays 2 minutes in the last game, obviously dealing with knee injuries. He's been banged up for the majority of his career, even while he was at Omaha North. How is his trajectory looking to get back this season? Is that still just game to game?
It's game to game. He's really struggled with his knee injuries. He had a concussion this year. It's just injuries have just really plagued him his entire career. We all know when he's healthy, he's arguably the best player in the entire league. So that's been tough on him. But he's such a great team guy, Jimmy. Even when he doesn't play as much as he wants to, he's all about the team. He just wants to win, and he's so bought in. And we love and appreciate Emar, but I expect him to get a few more minutes this weekend. He's looked really good in practice this week, and
just in case there's anybody from Maryville listening to this, right?
Yeah, I'll see. I'll see him. I think you'll see him play a little more Friday and Saturday night.
All right, so let's talk about the weekend. You got Mayville on Friday. You got Valley City State on Saturday. What's the scout? What's the prospect for these two teams you got coming in?
Similar teams. They're both athletic. They both want to play really fast. They want to average, 90, 95 points a game. They both got outstanding non-conference records. I don't know that either one of them have played as tough of a schedule as we have. I don't know if they're as battle tested as us. We'll find out. But I think for us, we want to make the game a grind. We got to take away their transition. We want to limit their 3-point shooting, which we were usually one of the best teams in the country in that. And and again, it's just about controlling the controllables. We can control if we sprint back on defense. We can control if we block out every time. We can't control if we make shots, but we can control if we're playing inside out offensively and playing the right way and sharing the ball. So, I think it's more about us doing what we're supposed to do. I really believe this, guys. I don't feel that we've really been beaten this year. I feel like we've beaten ourselves. We've lost. We haven't been beaten.
Yeah.
And so I know that I don't want to take credit away from our opponents, but at the same time, I go through the film and I've watched it, and we're really been shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit. And there's worse places to be than 6-4 going into your conference schedule, but we feel
you were there a year ago.
Yeah, I think we were 2-8 last year.
2-9, yep.
And we figured it out. So I think this group can do the same thing, and we're excited to turn the page and get off to a good start in conference this week, hopefully.
We're catching up with Lucas Gabriel, the head men's basketball coach at Bellevue University, here on After Hours on 1620 The Zone. Coach, obviously you're in the thick of things. You're talking about film study. Like we talked about the appreciation of understanding your lineup, but like this is a very transitional period for Bellevue University and your program in particular. Not only is this the last year of the North Star Athletic Association Conference, which you won a year ago, Campbell's been added to the equation as well. And then we're talking about the team that's been added back to the conference. Jamestown. Also the Camels. Campbell University, also the Camels. Sorry, that's where my confusion came in.
Right.
Jamestown's been added back to the equation. You guys are getting ready to play the last year of a conference slate that's not going to be there a year ago. You're building a brand new facility that you may even have available to you by the end of this season. Is it really hard to kind of keep the outside noise out about what's after this year to focus on this season?
Yeah, it's funny. We do get a lot of questions about, well, how's the league look for next year? And, and are you excited about the new
What's
gym?
the trip to Montana look like?
Yeah, like how, how many times you going to Montana, and all those type of things. And it's fun to talk about, but no, I don't find it difficult, Jimmy. We are really focused on this group and this team, and just dial into each day and taking one step at a time, one practice at a time, one possession at a time, all that stuff, all that coach talk, right? So,
Yeah.
no, we don't find it too difficult. I think we have a really special group. I think we could be really good. And really, as I told you guys before we got on air, I'd rather lose every single non-conference game if that means that we learn the lessons we need to learn so that we can win all of our league games. So I think we've learned some really good things about ourselves, and we're getting better by the day. And so we're excited to show that on Friday night.
I'm sure there's a lot in our listening audience who've never been out to see a game at the Gordon Lozier Athletic Center, have never seen Bellevue play basketball. What's the number one reason in your mind that someone should come out and watch the Bruins?
Well, you're going to see one of the best NAIA programs in the country.
Yeah,
agreed.
I mean, you're talking about a program that's won 37 conference championships in the last 26 years when you count conference tournament championships and regular season championships. And we've been to the national tournament 22 times over the last 25 years, and multiple 12 Sweet 16 appearances, 8 Elite Eights, 4 Final Fours, 2 national title games. We've never won it all. That's what we've been knocking on the door for 25 years, basically. And if you want to see some really good basketball for $5, basically, it's going to be great. If you're a fan of basketball, I don't know why you wouldn't come down.
Yeah.
And it's a great atmosphere too. I mean, the den gets filled up and it's a good time. That's the head men's basketball coach at Bellevue University, Lucas Gabriel, who joined us tonight. If you missed this segment, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by our friends at Controlled Comfort Heating and Air. You know how cold it is outside? That's not the temperature it's supposed to be inside. If you're having problems with your HVAC unit, head over to controlledcomfort.com. Break glass in case of emergency. They could be your 911 call tonight. Head over to controlledcomfort.com and have them fix the issue with your furnace this winter. We'll be right back. Giving you our Papillion Sanitation, trash takes the night. Here on 1620 The Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Bob Williams with Williams Law. You hear Bob come in here every single week and talk about the ailments facing the big conferences like the SEC or the Big Ten, or maybe he's talking about a DUI charge for an NFL player. You don't have to be a big-time conference or a millionaire to work with a lawyer the caliber of Bob Williams. All you have to do is head over to WilliamsLawLLC.com. WilliamsLawLLC.com tonight. He's going to give you a free, no obligation legal consultation to walk you through your rights, explain the charges that you're facing, and make sure that Williams Law is the right fit for you. Head over to WilliamsLawLLC.com and set up that free, no obligation legal consultation with Bob and his team tonight. First set of the NAIA National Championships right now. Indiana Wesleyan is beating Bellevue University 16-3 set one. Trish Sedlick and her team battling through this first set. Try to keep you up to date on this game as it rolls along here for the second hour of the After Hours Lounge, brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Windows, roofs, gutters, siding, they could do it all. Check out pyramidroof.com. Get a free estimate tonight. It's time for a Papillion Sanitation Trash Takes of the Night. What we'll do here is we will all give you a take. We'll put up a poll on Twitter. You'll vote for who had the best take. Whoever gets the least amount of votes has the trashiest take of the night. And my take, and I told you I thought you guys were going to like this one.
Let's hear it.
We waited too long to change college football. And we did it all at one time in a knee-jerk reaction.
Mhm.
The built-in system for the playoffs was there a long time ago. And when you look at the way the playoffs worked out this year, I think you can undoubtedly say the best 12 teams are in. The conference championships as a de facto play-in all worked. And if you would have done this beforehand, you could have figured out the bowl system with the transfer portal, and now you're trying to build the plane while you're flying it. There's been too many changes. The playoff system that is in place now is 10 years too late. I think college football would be a much enjoyable sport if they would have done this before they would have implemented the transfer portal and NIL rules.
Dude, you are beating a very old drum.
Yes.
People have been talking about this for so long. I mean,
but listen, I mean, there's a lot of people that feel like they screwed up a couple years of the 14 playoff. There's been obviously a couple years with some BCS controversy. I don't think there's much controversy, if at all, unless you're in Oxford, Mississippi, about this year's 12-team playoff.
then there shouldn't be. The 12 team is just about perfect for me. Like 12 is about the right number.
I think 16 is too many. Before the season started, I was on board. I thought it needed to go to 16. I think it's too many.
Think about like how many 3-loss teams you would get in there.
Way too many. If there's one or more, it's too many.
Like, and that's my point. It's like if you lose 3 games in your regular season, I can give like if you lose 2 and make your conference title game and lose, like you're still on the fence for me. But like I can maybe be convinced. If you lose 3 games in your regular season, I don't think you should be playing for a national title.
I agree.
Like I just don't think that, and that aligns with what the committee has shown us this season. Like you can't lose 3. Like there are too many 2-loss teams who are still good enough to go on and win a title. We've had 2-loss national champions before. We've never had 3-loss national champions.
Nobody loved it, by the way.
Right? Yeah. All right, here's my trash take. You ready?
I'm ready.
It's the thing that's been blowing up your social media feed all day long.
Lily Phillips?
No.
John
I don't know
Butler?
who that is.
The dude from New York.
Mark Gastineau and Brett Favre. You've seen the video.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen the video where Mark Gastineau goes up and quote unquote confronts Brett Favre about taking a dive so that Michael Strahan can get the single season sacks record. And Mark Gastineau is unhappy about this. He's mad at Brett Favre for falling down in front of Michael Strahan. And let me tell you, I don't believe a single second of it. It's all a setup. Mark Gastineau was put up to this to promote this 30 for 30 that they're putting out. This is shameless. This is actually kind of gross from ESPN, right? Like I don't like this kind of reality nonsense TV at all. And they've pushed Mark Gastineau out into this forefront where he doesn't need to be. Like Mark Gastineau. Are you saying that
Brett Favre would do something shameless?
No, I'm not even putting it on Brett Favre. Brett Favre has this long Twitter thread trying to explain the confrontation. And look, I'm under no auspices that Brett Favre is a good person because he's not.
Clearly. Good take.
And so maybe he's in on it. I don't know. But clearly, 100%, Mark Gastineau was put up to this by the ESPN brass to try and create a controversy to sell this 30 for 30 and get eyeballs on it. It's gross.
Apparently, there's not
and
much
for
Brett Favre
that
won't do
reason,
for money.
I'm not going to watch it.
Good.
Because it just feels
either.
grimy.
Bad take.
Oh.
It's a bad take. Because you should shamelessly watch every single 30 for 30
No,
that
you
ESPN
shouldn't.
puts out because they're all decently okay. Also, Mark
Some of them
Gastineau
are great, but
going up to Brett Favre and being like, "You took a dive. You took a dive to give Strahan the sack record." Pardon me, Mark. You are talking to a man who would stand in the pocket and get obliterated a half a second before throwing a frozen rope. I don't believe it one bit at all. For all the reasons that you said, John. But also, I will be watching this. I love 30 for 30. I love the content.
Yuck.
Keep giving me the content. Whether it's about Michael Chang and his Reebok pumps, or what do they call them? Brody gamers? Is that what the kids call the professional video game people?
Yeah, I mean that's probably
Gamers.
Gamers.
I did watch that one. That was shameful. My trash take of the night for the poll, Jimmy. I would like it to read: crime is bad.
Oh,
And to point out
Good take.
No.
for the other
No,
thing
we're not
that
doing this. No. Then I want mine to say no one should murder.
no one should murder.
I accept all this.
I mean, you have to give me one, John. I never win this segment. Stop robbing famous people's houses when they're out of town, folks.
Yeah.
The other thing that's been blowing up your Twitter feed today.
Nobody in Lincoln will vote for Dan tonight. Crime Town, big on crime.
Yeah. Joe Burrow's house got robbed. Also, side note, the person who called in the complaint about it being robbed is an Sports Illustrated swimsuit model who,
famous
according
influencer.
to the complaint, is employed by Joe Burrow.
Mm.
I know that's
That's
obviously
You guys want to debate what she does?
It's obviously
Nope.
not what it is, but that's what the police wrote down in the report. So giggle about that all you want. But we see these stories all the time where it's celebrity insert name here is out of town and their house gets robbed. Stop robbing people's houses just for the memes and for the memes of it all. You're not really getting anything out of Joe Burrow's house.
I could see how this girl could be an SI swimsuit model. You could get me there. I could see that.
Also, what are you going to steal from Joe Burrow? Sunglasses?
National
maybe?
championship ring.
I don't even think his national championship ring is at his house.
Why?
Because he famously gave it to his dad. He famously gave his national championship ring and his Heisman to his parents to hold on to at their house.
But there's
in
some
Athens,
valuable
Ohio.
things.
He's
in
probably
there.
got a vault of cash or a Ferrari or something.
To be fair, he does not have the $3 million Batmobile yet. He famously said that would be arriving in a year. So don't rob people for stuff that's not cool, I guess.
Two poll questions.
Crime sucks.
Up at After Hours 1620, RP Pillion Sanitation Trash Takes. And you can also vote on, is Joe Burrow's national championship ring at his house? Those are two things you can tell us tonight. If you missed our Pavilion Sanitation Trash Takes tonight, check it out at soundcloud.com/After Hours 1620. It was brought to you by our friends at Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear, the best and the premier suit buying experience in the Midwest. It's where I got my wedding suit at. It's where Dan Campany got his wedding suit at. If you have a big day coming up this spring and you want to be the best dressed groom you've ever seen, head over to Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear, centrally located at 78th and Dodge. They've been dressing Omaha for over 50 years. We buy or sell on the other side of the break. We come back here on 620 Zone.
Hey, everybody. We all know that crime is bad, but you know what's not bad? A steak gunner Philly with all the vegetables, including my favorite, the jalapeno juice from Pepper Jack's Grill. And if I'm going to Pepper Jack's Grill and I'm knowing that crime is bad, you know what's not also bad? They're French fries. They're the best in the game. Crispy on the outside, soft on the inside, and you dip them in that delectable ranch, you are never going to have a bad night. So if you want to be just like Dan Campanen, get on down to one of Pepper Jack's 10 great local locations tonight.
7:32 on a Tuesday night edition of the After Hours Lounge, brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Head over to pyramidroof.com. Book yourself a free estimate for your windows, gutter, siding, or your roof. They could do it all. Get there tonight and get a free estimate with Kyle and the team. It's time for Buy or Sell. We're doing a little bit late tonight, but Brody Heidemann has it for us. Brody, what do you got?
It does feel late. Like, it just does not feel right. It's 7:30.
7:32.
7:32. But Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports reported that roster limits for football do not need to be cut until the end of fall camp. So, in theory, a team could go to fall camp with 120 people on the roster and cut it down to 15, cut it down by 15 by the end of fall camp. Buy or sell, that makes any sense.
This is the game we're playing now. This makes perfect sense because you have guys that are going to want to jump into the transfer portal willy-nilly at any time during the season. We've seen it happen, and this is the double-edged sword that you're going to have to walk on. If you want these rights as a player, this is the game you're going to have to play now. You're going to have to take a spot on a roster, and there may not be one for you by the time the season starts. Makes perfect sense.
It's going to be unfortunate for those players who end up getting cut, but there's going to be a solution for them somewhere, and I don't know what it's going to be. Whether they're just going to be allowed to go and immediately join an FCS roster, if they're cut,
JUCO,
or go play JUCO or something. But you're right. From the team perspective, this makes 100% sense. You want the absolute best 105 players that you can get on your campus, right? If this is going to be the way it is, you need to make absolutely sure that you leave no stone unturned as far as who you're going to put on that limited roster. And this is the best way for them to do it, is to go through the entire fall camp, make sure that the decision you're making is the right one.
I just want to keep everybody updated on the volleyball game. Indiana Wesleyan takes the first set against Trish Sedlick's Bellevue Bruins in the NAIA National Volleyball Tournament Championship. Brody?
Jimmy, I wish there was a soundbite that was just like sad.
Wah,
Sad, yeah.
wah,
Wah, wah,
wah.
wah. Our boy's gone. Juan Soto, 15 years, $765 million deal with the Mets. But buy or sell is a huge loss for the Yankees.
It is, and specifically for that lineup. Obviously, the most dangerous lineup in all of baseball a year ago, even with what they had in L.A. But listen, the one thing that you could point at is Juan Soto was not the greatest right fielder. And maybe if you can get a better glove out there, it's never going to be an improvement from an all-star and a former world champion, et cetera, et cetera. But it may not be as big of a loss if you can make some adjustments and get some better fixes for your defense.
That much money, too. The amount they'd have to pay him
just to lose in the
guys,
NLCS, probably.
And we just
again.
saw them sign a guy tonight, $220 million, Max Fried. So
and they needed a pitch. They need some pitching too. And I would much rather have a couple bats walk away to get a better pitching rotation.
And I've seen rumblings that Cody Bellinger is a name to watch out for the Yankees.
It's probably going to happen.
How could it not be a big loss?
It's a huge loss, yeah.
I mean, a guy that somebody paid $765 million to
arguably won them the ALCS
is going to be a big loss. Although they didn't win the World Series, so how big a loss could it really be?
It's a good point.
Yeah, the heaviest hitting roster that you could possibly have doesn't win the World Series.
Because it's all about pitching.
It goes to show that roster construction is more important than just having a bunch of big bats that show up or, don't show up in the World Series.
Well, when you look at the last time,
it's a huge loss for the Yankees, though.
Yeah,
I 100% buy on that.
When you look at the last time the Yankees won the World Series in 2009, you had CC Sabathia, AJ Burnett. You had guys that were you couldn't touch their stuff.
Damn.
And that's what winning in baseball looks like. I mean, yeah, you talk about Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani and how good the Dodgers bats are, but they have one of the top 5 staffs in all of baseball as well, too. So it's to me, I mean, I would much rather spend money on arms than bats.
And they might be getting even better.
Good point.
They might be signing. I don't know how old he is, but Roki Sasaki. Just keep an eye on it.
Big upset in the basketball world.
Oh, what do we got?
The North Dakota State Bison have knocked off Butler at Hinkle Fieldhouse.
How about that?
How about that?
Ooh. Lane Kiffin says having the transfer portal open before the bowl system is a flawed system. Buy or sell. The Lane train is on to something here.
Yeah, absolutely. This makes no sense. You're asking these teams to take these games away from their home turf and put together a roster when you don't even know who's going to be there by the time the bowl game practice starts. Yeah, I agree. They've got to find a way to get this fixed.
Yeah. And look, the best way to solve this is that you can go in the portal when the team you're on season is over.
I agree. I think that's the only way to fix it.
If your team's season ends at the end of the regular season, you're not bowl eligible, your portal's open. We need a staggered portal. right? Like if your
Or,
team,
hear
if
me
your
out.
team's in a bowl game, you're not in the portal until that bowl game gets played, whether that's December 20th or January 3rd.
Or you could just move the portal period to the previous signing day period. Like move it back to the first Wednesday in February. Problem solved.
And then you still get spring ball, you still get all that stuff. But I like an easy way to do it is just when your team's season is over, that's when you can go in the portal.
Travis Hunter, Ashton Jonty, Dylan Gabriel, and Cam Ward have all been selected to the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Buy or sell, we needed 4 guys to be present for this.
Congratulations, first of all, to Travis Hunter. Him and his fiance are expecting twins. She seems like a little bit of a crazy person, and I will just throw caution to the wind for my guy Travis Hunter. Listen, I like the fact that Cam Ward and Dylan Gabriel are going to be there. How much do they really want to be, though? I mean, it's very clearly this is a 2-horse race. I think it's Travis Hunter's to lose. I think it should be. Can we just kill the Heisman ceremony? Just have some guys.
The show's boring.
Have it be like a surprise.
The show's incredibly boring.
Do it like they do the gold jackets in the NFL. Have somebody just show up, knock on their door, and give it.
Yes,
that would be way cooler.
Yeah. We didn't need 4.
We
needed 5.
5.
Cam Scadaboo should be in the Heisman Trophy ceremony.
He should definitely be in the discussion.
He should be there because that dude put that team on his back this season, and he is honestly one of my favorite players to watch in college football right now.
The thing that used to make the Heisman Trophy ceremony cool is even when you had a very clear idea of who it was going to be, was the behind the scenes stories, right? The stories you didn't know about these guys beforehand. But with all of the pregame shows that you have, you've heard every one of these stories at least 4 times this season.
Yep.
So it's kind of redundant.
Honestly, I think, and I'll even take it a step further. You don't need 4. You only need 1. And honestly, just don't even bother doing it in New York City. Just bring it out to Boulder, Colorado, and just set up on the campus of Colorado. Give it to Travis Hunter with the pomp and circumstance in the middle of Folsom Field, because
it would look cool.
We know who's going to win the Heisman.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous at this point that we're even bothering with the ceremony, with having other people even there with him. And just make it like an hour and a half of just talking about Travis Hunter.
I want him to accept the award in his giraffe onesie, though. That's my only.
That would be great.
That's my only request.
Is this the closest? And I wouldn't even say closest, but is this one of the most controversial over the past? We'll say since 2015.
Yeah, because listen, I think Ashton Jeanty is still going to receive is still going to receive a tremendous amount of first place votes, and he should. But I still think it's pretty clear cut who should win this trophy.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick,
I agree,
has rumored to have accepted the North Carolina head coaching football position. Buy or sell, this fit makes any sense?
I sell. This is clearly just a way for him to get his son a head coaching job. It feels cheap. It feels like he's cheapening his own legacy. He's already made several attempts to make himself feel younger. If you don't know, just Google it. You'll figure it out.
Now you know.
Yeah. But I don't think this makes any sense. It's very weird on North Carolina's part. We just got done talking about Travis Hunter. This is the Deion Sanders effect, in my opinion, though. It's going out and getting a CEO figure to be the selling point for recruiting staffs.
They just had one.
But listen, Mac Brown's not Bill Belichick.
No.
Mac Brown, yes, he's got the 06 Rose Bowl, which probably nobody you're recruiting still remembers. People know who Bill Belichick is.
They knew who Mac Brown was because he was on the morning the pregame show.
But listen, Mac Brown doesn't have 6 rings on his finger.
He doesn't
That's
have.
fine.
He didn't coach the GOAT.
Vince Wilfork.
It makes sense for North Carolina's purposes. If North Carolina is just about raising money and trying to attract the biggest recruits and being that school, then it makes perfect sense for them to do this. I don't know if it makes sense from a wins and losses perspective. I don't know if it makes sense
from a Bill Belichick.
Look, I don't know that anyone can predict whether he's going to be a good college football coach or a bad college football coach. We don't know. We've never seen it. We don't know.
A wise man once said, you can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather.
You don't know what this is going to be. Like, do you remember his last 2 years as the head coach of the Patriots?
Remember Matt Patricia?
They were not good.
Yeah.
He did not coach good football teams at his last stop in his most recent pieces of evidence.
What was the difference between that team and the teams that won Super Bowls?
I wonder.
don't know how this is going to go. It's going to get a lot of attention. It's going to raise a lot of money from boosters.
Is that
It's
necessarily
going to get a
good
lot
thing?
of recruits interested in playing for this team. We don't know how good of a coach he's going to be.
He's got arguably the best sales pitch. He's got arguably it's up there.
There's
You know,
nobody. There's
and-
nobody with a better one.
No.
You know what I wonder? I wonder how much this is going to resonate with recruits, though. And here's why. You had several very high-profile players for the Patriots talking openly about how the Patriot way was Tom Brady's way and how difficult it was to play for Bill Belichick. And we talk about this era of college football and players doing it for the money, doing it for the Instagram likes. Bill Belichick famously shipped off just about every single person that came to his office asking for money to the Cleveland Browns for a draft pick, almost like it was clockwork every single year. I wonder how much you're going to have 16, 17, 18-year-olds looking at, no offense to Bill Belichick, the hard-ass approach to coaching coaching football and saying, I want to go play for that guy. Because I think it could be the exact residual effect.
So, and that is part of the reason that I sell on it. If any of the rumors are true that we've heard about his pitch to the university that he had to make for himself and the dropping of the 400-page manifesto
This
basically
is great.
on their counter, I just sell that it's not a good fit for Belichick and it's not a good fit for North Carolina. Because obviously the old ball coach will always want to be
Steve Spurrier.
a ball coach. But I don't know why, if you're North Carolina, you're hiring a guy who has had so much success at a level where he's not really having to herd cats, where there is a level of professionalism, where there is a level of talent and a pedigree to everyone who's coming to your organization. He is going to now have to dive extremely deep into the waters of college football and go on about recruiting, bringing people in, having to meet his future players.
You could take this to the bank right now. Bill Belichick will not be on the recruiting trail.
having
No,
It ain't
to
hap- it ain't
run
happening.
practice every single day.
At
It's-
72 years old, by the way.
And managing a roster of 105, not 53.
Yeah, he's a former GM,
Yeah.
basically.
The elder statesman in Bill Belichick is a great fit for any head coaching job, just on the face of it. But I don't know why, if you are of sound mind and even sounder pocketbook, that you are going to bring in a man who has most likely the most demands behind his coaching team.
And has never coached college football, by the way.
He has coached college football.
When?
Didn't he coach college football underneath Nick Saban's father?
Unless it was before 1975. No.
It might have been before 1975. How old is he? He's in his 60s,
Thought he
right?
coached at
72.
Air
Oh,
Force or
72.
something like
So,
According to his coaching bio, he's never coached college football.
I couldn't remember. I watched that Belichick Saban. Let's talk about how
No,
we're the best.
Belichick has never coached at the college level.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
He did go to Dan, where he went to college at?
University of Toledo.
No. Middletown, then he went to Connecticut. All right. That's by ourselves.
Where?
Middletown University.
Oh.
If you missed that segment, check it out. SoundCloud.com/AfterHours1620. It was brought to you by our friends at AX Plumbing. Home or residential, they could do it all. Check out AXPService.com for all your plumbing, water heater, gas piping, and backflow prevention issues. AX Plumbing is locally owned and operated, and they'll leave your home or business cleaner than they found it. Check out AXPService.com for more details tonight. We win you some money on the other side of the break on 1620 Zone.
Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Cunningham's Pub and Grill. It's Tuesday, and that means tomorrow is Wing Wednesday. That's right, Wednesday after Tuesday, usually. So what do you need to do? You need to follow After Hours on social media. When you see the GIF of the wings get put up tomorrow, you need to retweet that bad boy as soon as your little finger can click it, because you're going to be entered into a drawing for a $25 gift card to one of Cunningham's two great locations, either Old Mill or Blackstone, and you can get yourself $25 in free drinks, wings, other goodies off the menu. Oh boy, they got so many good ones, and the wings, best in town, smoked to perfection. And then you get one of those great sauces on it, like the blueberry sriracha, the house-made buffalo, which is one of my personal favorites, or the 4-alarm if you're feeling a little spicy. That's all you got to do. Retweet the GIF, get yourself into the drawing. If you're feeling a little hungry tonight, you can go there a little early. Go in tonight. Get yourself something to drink. Get yourself something to eat. Cunningham's. They got all the good stuff. And on Sundays, the limited brunch menu and all the games on the TVs at both locations. Cunningham's Pub and Grill. You can't miss.
Put a bow on the second hour of the After Hours Lounge, brought to you by our friends at Pyramid Contractors. Over a decade of being the number one roofer in Omaha doesn't come by accident. Head over to pyramidroof.com to get a free estimate on your windows, gutters, siding, your roof. They could do it all. They're going to give you that estimate for free. Check out pyramidroof.com tonight. Our friends from Bellevue University playing for a national title tonight. Trish Sedlick's volleyball team loses the first set to Indiana Wesleyan. They're currently leading the second set 18-14. Bellevue has never won a national title in women's volleyball, and they have a chance to do so tonight. It is closing time. It's time for the last call. What we're going to do here is we're all going to give you 3 bets according to our friends at the Warhorse Sportsbook app. So you can go over and place a bet over off 63rd and Q with these bets. Right now, there's a live line. Providence is at DePaul tonight. DePaul famously not very good at basketball. The Friars just a 1.5 point favorite right now. They currently lead by 5. I think they win by 10. Give me the Friars minus 1.5. You don't walk into Bud Walton Arena and get a big win very often. Michigan goes to Arkansas tonight. Give me the Hogs at home plus 4.5. Might put a little juice on the money line as well. And then Wisconsin plus 7.5 tonight on the road at Illinois, despite being the team that is ranked. I don't think that matters. I think the Illini roll tonight. Give me the Illini to beat the Badgers.
Just when you thought there was no more football to bet on, you're wrong.
You idiot.
We got the FCS playoffs going on this weekend, and I got bets for you. South Dakota State taking on Incarnate Word.
That's where Cam Ward played football.
The spread is 18.5.
That's a lot.
Give me Incarnate Word to cover, but South Dakota State to win. 18.5 is too many points for the FCS playoffs. Then Montana State and Idaho. Friday night, Bozeman, Montana. Game time temperature, 28 degrees. It's going to be cold, folks.
Bobcats, right?
Take the under of 55.5. I think there's few points scored in the cold weather up in Bozeman, Montana. And then, yes, got to put some money down on Navy and Army.
People forget.
I'm taking Navy to be leading at the half to pay plus 200 against Army.
Bellevue University is on a 10-0 run right now. They lead 21-15 in the second set.
And for my closing time bets, brought to you by Warhorse Casino.
Nice plug, Dan.
Give me number 20 Wisconsin to cover their point spread of 7.5. Also, in that Michigan and Arkansas game, give me the under of 148.5 points. And then last but not least, a game that will end very late tonight on the West Coast. Give me the under of 78.5 total points by the Ivy League school by the name of Cornell.
Go Big Red. Really quickly, we got a few minutes before we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Give me a grade A through F on the defensive hires for Nebraska.
C. It's very average.
I was going to say C plus too, and for a few reasons. I don't think the John Butler hire is as doom and gloom as a lot of people think. 11 straight points for the Bruins, by the way. I think with
it shouldn't be doom and gloom.
There's a lot of people that are seriously worried.
I understand, but it shouldn't be.
Yeah, and for a couple reasons. A, the time frame situation that I talked about at the beginning of the show with when John Butler was hired, took over that defensive back room. But B, Matt Rule and how defensive minded Matt Rule is, and I think having him there, bringing in a guy like Phil Snow is going to help out tremendously as well. And I think that you're going to be able to attract a lot of recruits on the defensive line with the defensive line hire too. So I'm going to go with a C plus, not quite a B minus, not quite a B, but I'll go with a C plus because I think it's a very above average. And I think that long term, we're going to look at all of those as good hires. 12 straight points. Bruins 23-15 in the second set, down 1-0. If you missed any of the After Hours Lounge tonight, check it out. SoundCloud.com/After Hours 1620. Our bets tonight were brought to you courtesy of our friends at Warhorse Casino and Sportsbook, as Dan Campion alluded to a minute ago. 63rd and Q. Slots, table games, and yes, their Sportsbook is now open. If you or somebody you know is suffering from a gambling problem, call 402-806-7344. Thank you very much to our guests tonight, Lucas Gabriel, head coach of the men's basketball program at Bellevue University, and the girls basketball team from Gretna East. For John Schreiner, Jimmy Allen, Brody Heidemann, Dan Campion, enjoy National Lager Day, everybody.
Drink up.